In this area we're 3,500 acres where the issue is, so we've got property of about 8.5 k's away, which hasn't had any effects of wild dogs. It's far enough away from the national park. We run commercial ewes, merino with a polled horse at White Suffolk over them, or we've also got the shedders, the ultra whites, about 1,000 merinos and 400 to 500 ultra whites. We were really lucky before the legislation was changed because we had the parks trapper, so Scotty was in the area doing it and done a fantastic job, and because of the nature of where we are, we sort of got alluded that they were on the way, so there was a dog working in the area yard like north of us or to the west of us, and so you sort of knew that was happening, and he would come in and trap at that time and would keep us up to date with what's going on, so we'd try and help him, he'd try and help us, and it worked quite well. But since that changed,
this is the Victorian government we're talking about. They changed the legislation regarding wild dogs, and now they class all wild dogs as dingoes.
Yeah.
It's not like it's been forever. Like, these dogs are recent.
So the problem is escalating.
It's escalating.
It was escalating before the legislation changed, and now it's worse.
And now it's getting worse.
And you've had issues like your teenage daughter finding one of your bucks, one of your goat bucks, disemboweled and still alive, and having to deal with that. Finding sheep with their stomachs torn out on the ground. You've had to deal with that as well, but it's certainly a large burden for a young person to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's hard enough me doing it, but to ask her doing it, and she got to the stage where she didn't want to go into paddocks to check sheep or feed sheep or just do general day-to-day chores that we all have to do, because she was scared that what she was going to find when she entered the paddock. Our argument's not that the dogs aren't allowed in that park, we just don't want them on our property, and we don't want them affecting our livelihoods.
We don't usually like dealing with old fences like these, and you're probably better off pulling it out, putting a new one up. But we needed to get something up quick, cost effective, and sort the problem out.
I'm next door to the big desert, where the average paddock size is 1,500 acres or bigger. Farming country that's used for cropping and rotational grazing, where the fences are designed to keep sheep in, but do very badly at keeping predators from the nearby public managed land out. Today, I'm finding out about some new technology in fencing that's making old fences like this get a second lease in life and protecting croppers and graziers from an increasingly large predatory presence. Joel, how are you going, mate?
Good, Tim. How you been?
Mate, fantastic. Thank you very much for having us out here today. Absolutely magnificent country, isn't it?
Beautiful.
But there are some issues, and you deal with these issues every day as a fencing contractor, and that is old fences that were designed to keep stock in, but are no good at keeping predators out.
That's right. Come across this a lot.
But you have a solution today. You're not going to only show us what the solution is, you're going to show us how it works, and you're going to give us some tips on installing it so that old fences like this can do two things, not just one.
That's right, and that's what you're here for, Tim.
Well, Joel, the boys are about to start straining up the fence at the other end, so it's probably a good opportunity for us to talk about how to set up an end assembly with a leaning offset eye post. Now, the first thing that strikes me here is that you guys are only using 3 wires here on this job, but you've got all 3 wires insulated, and there's a good reason for that, isn't there?
Yeah, Tim, we'll give you plenty of options.
Okay, so explain what that means, mate.
So, especially this situation, we've got other bits of wire hanging off that
We've got this old mesh here that we were talking about before.
That's right.
That's an absolute trap for an electric fence, isn't it?
Exactly. And usually we'd run it top and bottom as hot, middle in the earth. But this situation we might want to run the 2 bottom as hot.
Okay, so you might want to just use this top wire as a return earth. Now you still can, can't you? Because this is very sandy country and you're actually running an earth for every stretch of fence, aren't you?
That's right. Another tip is securing the wire with staples.
So that's the end tied off, and the big tip there from you is insulate everything because it gives you flexibility, which I love. The next modification that you've made, a lot of people will just use a steel rod on their first leaning offset to support it. You've actually hit in a full length 6 foot steel post and you've twitched it on with tie wire top and bottom. It's really important for you in this country to have that extra steel in the ground?
Yeah, definitely. Like the ground's that soft that your rod will just pull out.
Yep.
And we really need that support on that angle for the rest of the fence.
Because the rest of the leaning offsets are going to be pulling straight, except of course where we've gone around a tree or something. Whereas this leaning offset is actually going to be pulling at an angle into the fence, isn't it?
That's right.
And you don't want that to creep and short out.
Exactly.
So Joel, some people might think to run an electric fence you've got to completely rip out and redo your whole fence, but this particular project here is living proof with your leaning offsets and a little bit of smart thinking that even an old box end assembly can actually find a really solid purpose in keeping dogs off your property.
Yeah, we don't have to rip it out, Tim. It's make do with what we got, and in this situation it's worked well.
And we're saving a lot of cost here because we're just using existing infrastructure and making it smart.
Yeah.
So Joel, particularly when the fence is old or damaged and you're trying to get a bit more life out of it, a leaning offset attached to your strainer posts is absolutely ideal, but sometimes you've got to bend the rules a bit. And around the corner here, you've bent the rules quite significantly, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done something completely different.
And here we've got netting fence that has completely failed. And if you tried to put a leaning offset up against that, it would just short out, wouldn't it?
It just never was going to work.
So you've used a little bit of steel post offcut here to act as a stay brace.
Yep.
On the corner only. And then you've driven in a steel post at every second timber post up the run at a distance of about, what, 8 metres between steel posts.
Yep.
And you're using exactly the same eye post, this time clipped to the steel post, and you're running 5 wires.
That's right.
How many are hot?
3.
Right, and that's enough to pretty much replace that fence without having to go to the expense for the owner to pull it out.
That's right.
Clever thinking, mate. So we've actually come up almost to the full height of a normal fence. We've got power in the fence now. We know that dogs like to go under fences rather than over them. We haven't had to replace the old fence, but we've got one that's far enough away with lots of power in it that's going to stop the predators.
Yep.
Now, you've already said to me that you would not, as a fencing contractor, choose to work with an old second-hand fence because it's not cost effective. But in this case, by leaving the fence alone and simply running a new fence in complementary beside it, you've actually got around the problem of expensive fence removal for the owner for the time being.
Yep, that's right.
And if they ever did remove that fence in the future, they could do so while leaving the new fence in place.
Exactly right.
Well, Joel, this is fencing, so of course every job goes perfectly smoothly, but what on earth is going on here, mate?
Well, Tim, this is Victoria.
Joel, bit of a scrappy tree, mate. What's going on here?
It is.
Why don't you take it off the fence line?
Well, cultural heritage issues, we're getting permits and all that, just takes a long time. Yeah, so it's staying and we've got to go around it.
But this is a great opportunity, isn't it? Because you've now got an immovable object that you've got to get around, so you can show us a couple of hacks with the eye posts for coming off your fence line, going around an immovable object and going back onto your fence line. You reckon it can be done without cutting the wires or putting in an end assembly?
Yep, we sure can. Well, Tim, when we've got an object like this, the tackle, we can get around it. We've just got to put the droppers a bit closer and have star posts standing behind them and hold them up straight. Because we're not tensioning the wire too much, we can get away with it. So we're just got to push them in there, obviously bang them in further, and we'll twitch the eye post onto them.
So this fence will still keep dogs out if it's upright for short sections around obstacles like this tree.
That's right.
How many posts back will you come off the fence line? Obviously you don't want too acute an angle coming off the fence line, or it'll pull the eye post potentially off the fence, won't it?
That's right, exactly. So I would go about 16 metres in this situation.
Yep, so about 2 posts back.
2 posts back.
Yep.
Is all you need. There's not a lot of tension on the wire, so we can do that. And then from there, we can just do the star post straight up and down.
So you put your steel posts in straight up and down the whole detour. You don't angle them out slowly and then angle them back in or anything fancy like that. You just drive them nice and straight.
That's right.
And you get away with that because there's less tension in the wire. Because it's not the tension of the wire doing the work in this fence, it's the power of the energizer.
That's right, Tim.
So Joel, we've got ourselves all set up with the ends looking pretty schmick on this fence now. And these fellas are about to show us how you can use some really good kit to run it out easily.
Yep. Yeah, Sam and Luke will show you what to do.
Sam, how you going, mate? Luke, how you doing, mate?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for having us out here today, guys. Now, this trailer setup looks pretty swish. What is it? Talk me through it.
This is Gallagher's I-post dispenser trailer. Fits on any trailer. We've been using it for about the last month and a half here.
So it's just a standard box trailer and it's like a sled that goes inside it, mate.
Yeah, yep. Just a really efficient way just to feed out all your I-posts, hold all the wire that you need for plenty of kilometres, and yeah, it's been working brilliant.
Now your wire here is on reels. You're starting out with your high conductive wire closest to the energizer.
Yep.
And then you're moving over to some 2.5mm high tensile wire at the ends.
Yep, yep.
So you're getting the maximum amount of output out of your energizer, and that's really important with this sort of fence, isn't it? Because it relies on power.
Yeah, no, that's right. We've obviously got our solar panel and everything set up in the middle. That's going to be doing its best, but just to get the energy out of our long strains, just to get it all to the very ends, because it could be potentially up against brush and bushes growing over the future. So we just really want to pump the energy right to the ends.
So it's like putting a big pipe at the start of your fence and then going to a smaller pipe at the end.
Yeah, just to keep pressure.
Like you think of with plumbing. That's what you're doing with your wire choices here.
Yep, exactly right.
Now, how many of these I-posts can you fit in this dispenser at the moment?
It's about 5 packs and a couple at the ends.
Yeah, righto.
But yeah, we loaded up with about 3 sets of I-posts ready to refill. So yeah, we've got kilometres worth.
In the bottom of the trailer here,
Yep.
you got your next victims here.
Yep, that, and then there's 3 bundles stacked on top of each other there, ready to go.
Sure. So you can do a fair few kilometres with this trailer without reloading.
Yep, that's right, perfect.
Now, when it comes time to reload them in the rack,
Yep.
is that a big deal having to cut the wires? How do you get around that?
Yeah, we just usually go all 3 at once, as long as all your rolls are fairly even. Just hang them off to the side for a bit, put our pin on the end of our wire, which helps feed just straight away, perfect system there.
So like a big knitting needle that you push through the posts to rethread your wire once you've loaded them again?
Yeah, exactly right. Knitting needle is exactly how you would explain it. But yeah, all 3 at once, put them back on, join them with our little pigtail joiners, and off you go again.
Now the spiral fast joiners that you're using, they're really strong joiners, but you're not putting this wire under a lot of strain, are you?
No, no.
You don't strain it up really tight?
No, it's not. It's not strained up tight, just because we're going over so many sand hills and that. We don't want it to sink at the top with under pressure and everything else. But yeah, it just helps the conductivity go through the wire.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what we've gone with.
Yeah, right. So it'll pull through the posts. It's highly conductive, even in the joins.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
I think we've been gas bagging too long, Joel. Looks like the boys have already finished the job, mate.
It doesn't take long to get it out, does it?
No, it's actually really surprising how quick it is. I suppose it's always about having the right machine, isn't it?
That's right.
Sam, you're done already, mate.
I see it. We're pretty good.
You boys move it, don't you?
We sure do.
What's next?
Next, we're going to stand all these up at 45 degrees, tie the tops, and get straining.
Well, show us how it's done, mate.
Sure will. Righto, Tim. So the way we do this is probably not the way that Gallagher would recommend, but just because we're on an older fence here, the way we're going to do it is we're going to get Joel to stand this up at 45, and whatever hole lines up closest on these old pegs, Luke's going to put his feed wire through here. He's going to select a hole. He's just going to put the one twitch on there, and then I'm going to come along with my fencing pliers, and I'm going to get just a nice twist on that, nice and like that. Bend them out of the way of any livestock's face, and then that's that. And then once we've completed this all the way down the fence line, we'll strain all 3 wires, come back, and we will use the Gallagher clip on the bottom wires of this whole fence. You could easily do all these steps by yourself, but we do it as a team. Righto Tim, we got all our posts out at 45, all tied on the top. Good team effort. Now we got Luke about to strain all 3 wires up.
And don't forget to start your strain with the bottom wire. Alright Tim, so we're almost done here. We've just got to go along, clip on the droppers to the wire. Joel's going to go and do that while me and Sam head down there and run out a few extra Ks.
So Tim, now I'm doing the last step, putting the clip in the wire, and yeah, it's easy as that.
Well, Luke, Sam, Joel, thank you very much, guys, for showing us some fantastic equipment for running out Ks of fence at a time. This Gallagher trailer is fantastic, but also for giving us some great tips for putting leaning offset on existing beaten up fences and solving some really significant problems for farmers. Joel, if people want to get in touch with you, fencingcontractor.com.au.
That's correct.
A pretty swish address, mate.
It's not bad and pretty easy to remember, I reckon.
It is. Now, you're not only got a website, but you've also got a fencing calculator that people can use. They can drop in their GPS coordinates and get a quote from you as easily as getting in touch with you through the website.
That's right. Well, if you just want to know how much roughly your fence is going to cost you to be installed, we can do it and don't even have to come out.
Fantastic. Now that's coming live very soon, so people can check that link in the description down there. And of course, if you want videos about great gear, great tips and great people, you know what you have to do. You have to hit the subscribe button, but more importantly, send this to someone who thinks wild dogs are dingoes. The toll on farmers is a really significant issue, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, they've been hit pretty bad at times and yeah, it's not real nice for the sheep or the people seeing it.
But now we have a solution that doesn't cost a bomb.
That's right.